Welcome to the third episode of Sports Talk with Girl Dads. I'm Cam, he's Bob. Bob, it's been a while, but we're finally back, and I'm ready to do the third episode with you.
Let's go. I'm ready. What's the topic?
Let's just start with some relevant sports stuff. Let's start with Aaron Judge and where he's going to end up. What do you think?
You know, full disclosure, I'm a Yankees fan, obviously, so I'm going to be a little biased on this. With the season he had, you cannot afford not to re-sign him.
I agree.
I am very much of the opinion of you don't be reactionary. You don't get into a bidding war with Boston or the Mets. However, this is an exception. If you have to get into the bidding war, you can't let Aaron Judge go. But at the same time, you can't be foolish. So Aaron Judge, I think, turns 31 by opening day. I'm more of a fan of giving more money as opposed to years. The most I would go is probably 8.
So you're not for the 10-year, $400 million that's floating around potentially?
I would prefer not, but if that's a deal breaker, then we can adjust. And plus, the other thing too is I'm certain there will be a no trade clause in there. The other thing I would wonder is, would there be a player opt out like once you get to like year 6 or 7?
Right,
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Now, I've read a couple articles that have said that the Giants are potentially going to just open the checkbook for him.
Name me the last player on the West Coast that people really paid attention to.
Barry Bonds?
Probably. But, I mean, outside of that, people that I don't want to say they go to the West Coast to die because that's inappropriate. But, I mean, Mike Trout is probably the best player in baseball, but how many people see him?
Right.
Very few.
Otani included in that. Yeah.
We could go on and on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Freddie Freeman left Atlanta and went to Los Angeles.
Yep.
Now he's just now, granted, if they won the World Series, then Bob is talking silliness.
Right.
But at the same time, if you want to be marketable, and marketability is tough in baseball, as it is.
Right.
But if Aaron Judge can be the captain of the Yankees or play his whole career in New York, that to me is more prestigious than bouncing around and being a money grabber.
I agree. Yeah, I think wherever he signs, he's going to sign an unbelievable contract, maybe a record deal.
But the other thing too, though, was people booing him in the postseason.
Right.
If you are basing your we're going to resign or not resign based on 100 idiots in the crowd that booed the guy, I think that would be silly. But
yeah,
I'm not the one getting paid.
He seems to be loved by Yankees fans overall. I think he's. If I'm guessing, I think he's in pinstripes next year.
He made a good bet too. He bet on himself, which
Right.
A lot of people, when they do that, I'm very afraid when people have a good year in a contract year, just because. But I mean, that was the ultimate. He had the ultimate year in a contract year.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can not re-sign him. Plus, if you don't re-sign him, then you have to look at, well, who are we going to sign? There's not much left in the outfield that you could sign. You could sign some stuff in the infield, but you're not going to find a power hitter like that in the free agency.
I agree. Well, shifting gears here, let's shift to a different sport here. Let's talk a little bit of college football here. We've had some craziness here in college football. We've got Alabama with 2 losses. What's your take on the world of college football right now?
Well, we're recording this on the first Sunday of November. It is November, right? Oh,
yes.
Second Sunday. I'm sorry.
Second Sunday.
Let me get the date right. It is Sunday, November 13th. So we're recording it after the Saturday games were played. The thing. Let's hit on the Virginia teams real quick. Virginia Tech is a mess.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a while to get that mess cleaned up. That mess did not just get there overnight.
Yeah, I agree. I think what Tech fans and growing up on, I speaking from watching a lot of Virginia Tech football, Brent Pry took over somebody else's mess. Brent Pry took over somebody else's problem. He's got to be given time to fix it his way. Not saying that he has all the answers, not saying that there may be some struggles, but he's got to be given the opportunity to do it his way. And that's not a quick fix. He may not even be coaching guys that are going to be the guys he wants for his system. He deserves the opportunity to go out and recruit his own guys and try to do it his way. If you're going to trust the guy to run the program, give him the reins fully. Don't don't judge him off of coaching a former staff's players and kind of having to adapt to them a little bit in his first year. Don't judge him based on that. Let's see how he does with a full off season, bringing in more of his guys, all that. Then I think he can be a little further judged next year.
But this is not basketball too, so you've got to think even when he gets his own guys in, you've got to almost look at their sophomore and junior years.
Sure.
Because college football doesn't have the immediate impact freshman that basketball
Right.
does. The other thing I like about Pryce, I think Pryce wanted to be there not just for the money reason. Like I think a lot of coaches want to move somewhere and they'll say, yeah, I'm a Aggie or this or that all in heart, but ultimately heart speaks with Benjamin Franklin's.
Right.
And I don't think that's Pryce's only motivation. Tony Elliott and UVA, that might be some other issues there. I don't know. I'm not as, tied in. But the one that gets me is Liberty and Hugh Freeze. They lost to UConn. I don't think it was a game that the fan base thought they were going to lose, but UConn's a good team.
I think it was a trap game for Liberty. Coming off a huge win. You have Tech the following week. I think it was definitely a trap game. Based on what I've seen from Liberty, they'll be ready to play Virginia Tech, I would think. But Hugh Freeze is an interesting situation. He's winning at a place like Liberty, which, on paper is something people would think is pretty difficult to do. But I think Liberty right now has established themselves probably as the best football program in Virginia as far as college football goes.
Well, and this SEC talk is never going to end with Hugh Freeze.
Right.
But at the same time, how many schools are in the SEC? I want to say it's like 13 or 14.
Right, yeah.
So you're not, and Texas and Oklahoma are going to come in. So let's be honest, geographically, Texas or Oklahoma do not fit Hugh Freeze in terms of where he's had the success.
Right.
Vanderbilt beat Kentucky last night, which was their first SEC win, I think, in like 34 games.
It was a lot, yeah.
You're not taking a Vanderbilt job if that came open. And I think Vanderbilt has got a first-year head coach.
He's not looking to go to a place to build.
Correct. Now, Auburn, for instance, is a different category altogether.
Yep.
I think, obviously, the mega job that Hugh Freeze would want to hold out for would be Alabama. Would that ever happen? I don't think he'd be the first choice with all due respect.
I agree.
But I think Hugh Freeze is a really good football coach. But you got to think, every year, Hugh Freeze is adding one more year to his tally of how many rings around Hugh Freeze. You can count him and find out his age.
Right.
So he's getting older. I think Lynchburg could be a lifetime job for him. And on that Liberty Virginia Tech thing, if Liberty beats Virginia Tech, and I know Virginia Tech is 2-7, not that good right now, that's still a top 5 win in the history of Liberty University, in my opinion.
Sure it is.
Because it's a P5 and it's Virginia Tech.
It's an established program that's got a lot of honor and a lot of accomplishments associated with that program.
And it's Virginia Tech.
Right. It's, Liberty was excited, I'm sure, just to get Virginia Tech on the schedule.
At home.
Right. To be in line and have set up to beat them, I completely agree with you. I think it's going to be, if they're able to pull it off, a major win for them.
Because they beat them in Blacksburg.
Right.
But, I mean, that was almost like the tree falling in the forest because that was a COVID year. Not a ton of people there to see it. Your original point on Alabama, by the way, Alabama's not a bad football team. I mean, 2 losses. LSU probably played their best game of the year when they beat Alabama.
Yep.
And the other loss by Alabama was Tennessee, where your kicker didn't come through. Tennessee's kicker came through on probably a once-in-a-lifetime kick.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't think we should say Alabama is dead.
No, they're certainly not. And this is the great Nick Saban we're talking about here. Alabama will reload. They will come back with a ranking of 1, 2, or 3 to start the year next year, just like they always do. Nick Saban is someone we kind of lose track of his greatness. It's like we see it every year. It's almost like people get bored with his greatness, and we have to be careful about, he has 2 losses this year. Just it's open season on talking about how bad he is or how bad Alabama is. We need to think back at, his level of greatness and how a 2-loss season for 95% of the programs in the country would be a phenomenal year.
Not at Alabama.
Right.
Not at Alabama. And, they're not going to make the SEC title game, which has not happened very often. LSU will make that. So it could be interesting. I mean, Alabama's still, like you said, they're Alabama.
Yeah.
So, final topic, Jeff Saturday. The head coach of the Indianapolis Colts got the win today against the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yep.
Jeff Saturday probably wasn't the first name I had come to mind when I was thinking coaching vacancies.
No, me either. That it surprised me. Do I understand from Jim Irsay's standpoint? This is a respected guy from the past. I think he's been an advisor with the team for a while. He knows the Colts way, if you will. Sure, I hear all those things, but personally, I would have liked to seen myself. I would have liked to seen him go with one of their coordinators that's been a head coach before. Just promote that guy. But
they fired most of the coordinators. They fired a good portion of the staff.
But they have a couple guys still on there that have been head coaches before.
John Fox? Did they fire him?
No.
Okay.
And there was one more. One of their coaches has been a head coach for the Jaguars. Gus.
Gus Bradley?
That might be it, yeah. But, so we're talking about guys with head coaching pedigree, and you hand it to someone who's never coached in the NFL or college a second in his life.
It had, a 3-7 record in high school?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I can't really judge it on that, I guess, but just seems, it just doesn't paint a very good picture, I don't think. We're battling a lot of things in society right now, and to just hand this guy this kind of opportunity with no formal coaching experience, I don't know. I have to imagine it's hard, extremely difficult to be an owner of an NFL team and know what the answer is when your team's struggling, but I don't know. This one raised my eyebrows for sure.
To me, it's a bigger issue if he's the head coach of Week 1 in 2023. Right now, this is totally interim, so I get your outrage. I don't know if you saw, Dan Patrick had Tony Dungy on his radio show.
Yeah.
And he asked Tony Dungy, did Jim Irsay reach out to you? No, he didn't. He said, if he did, what advice would you have given him? Don't fire Frank Reich.
Yeah.
Beat Kansas City.
Right.
Don't fire Frank Reich. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, when Tony Dungy is saying these things, and I mean, I think Tony Dungy is a little overrated as a head coach because he went into a great situation. But if Jeff Saturday is talking about him being a leader of men, which I don't doubt he is, Tony Dungy was the ultimate leader of men.
Sure.
I mean, I think Tony Dungy could almost coach any sport and be semi-successful.
Yeah.
But in terms of if Tony Dungy a football genius, I don't know. But Tony Dungy is a genius of managing people.
Right. And he's a Super Bowl champion. You can't argue with that.
With Peyton Manning.
But he's a Super Bowl champion.
With Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I mean, it's a very interesting situation. I mean, you had, I think, a guy who was the offensive quality assistant is now your play caller.
Right.
So it's a weird situation. Let's be honest. A lot of NFL owners are insane. I mean, you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Giants, they honestly don't make these coaching changes just on a whim.
Right. Well, you're looking at, and being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, being somebody who tries to stay connected with things that are happening as much as possible, you haven't heard anyone saying, let's fire Mike Tomlin.
I think you hear about those things, but you're hearing from the fans.
But not from people that
intelligent.
Right, not from people that understand what's going on in Pittsburgh. We're playing a rookie quarterback. There's been a ton of injuries throughout the season so far. It's still kind of a work in progress with the offensive line. There's things that Mike Tomlin could come up with the greatest, scout ever, greatest game plan, greatest scheme ever. But ultimately, it comes down to having guys that can make plays. And if you don't, you don't. So Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season in Pittsburgh. All of a sudden, he doesn't have what it takes to get it done, and we would just fire him? No, that would make no sense.
That's also, I would say, ownership and GM's fault for you didn't prepare for when Ben was going to be gone.
Absolutely.
You didn't prepare for Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, who, I mean, those were triplets, in my opinion.
Right.
So you didn't prepare yourself well. So now somebody's always got to be a scapegoat. It's a lot easier to fire a coach than it is, 73 or 57 or 25 or whatever many people. So,
but it's also a situation where you're going to fire Mike Tomlin. What else is out there that's as good as him?
Sean Payton. But
maybe.
with me saying no, Sean Payton's really good. With me saying that, I don't fire Mike Tomlin for Sean Payton unless I 100% know I could get somebody. That's the thing that gets me with coaches in any sport. You're hired to be fired, for one.
Sure.
But if you're going to fire somebody, you better have a list of 3, and one of those people better say yes before it turns into an absolute joke to where you're having to go to pick 7. And I think when I hear this, I think about North Carolina that year when Guthridge retired. A little bit different, but it went down the list to Matt Doherty. Matt Doherty was not first choice. Matt Doherty was not second choice. And I don't think Matt Doherty was 3rd, 4th, or 5th choice.
Right. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Well, Bob, I always enjoy talking sports with you.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the 3rd episode of Sports Talk with Girl Dads. I'm Cam. He's Bob. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time.